Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and now let's talk My Hero Academia Chapter 186. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. This chapter I think was pretty cool. It's pretty standard though. I think in comparison to the Soma chapter and the One Piece chapter, I think the One Piece chapter is winning the day for today out of those three. And then the Hero Academia chapter is just a consistent burn. I think between it and Soma, the Hero Academia chapter is probably the more consistently paced and consistently interesting one. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about the chapter. I'm just trying to figure out where exactly I want to start with this, because last week, you know, we had some pretty interesting talking points with Hawk and the way that he's going about things, and also the thing with the daycare. On the point of Hawk, I saw that a few of you are talking about it more, and truthfully, my opinions about Hawk, or Hawks, I should call him Hawks, that's his name. My opinions about Hawks aren't really cemented yet. I just find the guy interesting, and this chapter just continues. Like, this chapter makes him interesting in another way in terms of his power set, but I'm not really sure what I ultimately feel about the guy. I think this is one of those cases where I really need to see more of him. But overall, I got some ideas and thoughts about him, but I'm not really sure where I want to fall. So I'm probably going to be reading more of your comments just to see what you guys are thinking, and then, like, you know, kind of shape my opinions based on like what you guys are pointing out, and then see what happens. Yeah, let's see. How do I want to tackle this? You know what? I think I should tackle it with more praise for the people that pointed it out. I have your name here somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. Rachel Snyder. So I wanted to just I hope I said that right. I want to just give thanks real quick because Rachel gave us the note in the comments that in the Viz translation, they had the name for that thing, and the Viz translation says it is Hidamari Daycare. Now, a bunch of other people also pointed out Hidamari meant like a sunny place. So, you know, overall, what we got with all the information that we got from the comments is that a sunny place. So that makes sense. Oh wait, sorry. Rachel, you didn't say daycare, you said Hidamari kindergarten. Okay, so overall, the idea of a sunny place and you're attributing that to a child-friendly place, I think that makes total sense. So we know Hidamari is probably the name of the school. And then if what Rachel said holds up with the Vince translation, they're calling it the a sunny place kindergarten, which I think is pretty cool. Mind you, it's still pretty dark, right? Last week the idea was this could be a clinic, a child's clinic. This week we have, or after the comments, we have a good chance at guessing this is a place where little kids grow, where little kids are taken care of. That's pretty freaking dark. That still fits the narrative of the guy that interacts with little kids is compromised. It still fits the narrative that there is something dangerous going on with the Nomus and children. So interesting stuff there. I'm pretty excited. Again, I just want to give thanks to Rachel for pointing out the Viz translation. I don't always read the Viz translation, so this was good information. Anyway, apart from that, what else do I want to jump into? We could talk about the chapter. So this chapter is pretty interesting. By the end of it, you know, I'm wanting to root for Endeavor. And also by the end of it, did you notice Endeavor is flying in the sky like a firebender from Legend of Korra or whatever, Avatar Korra. Like, look at that, man. That's pretty freaking badass. But yeah, Endeavor is in action here. And before that, we have Hawks and Endeavor going about the town, just talking pretty much. All pretty interesting stuff. With that segment, we have pretty much a compare and contrast going on, right? We have Hawks showing himself off, and we're seeing Endeavor shaping himself a little bit more because we have someone to contrast him against. And for the Endeavor stuff, the highlight is definitely the little kid that says, no, Endeavor doesn't care about popularity. But that's actually a pretty interesting point. Endeavor doesn't care about popularity. So in terms of the Stain ideology, you know, Endeavor doesn't really represent that aspect of Stain's gripe. Endeavor's problem, though, was that he was obsessed with being #1. So he's obsessed with the pride or the glory of heroics, or he was at least. So it's interesting to actually have that distinction being thrown in there for Endeavor. While other heroes might have more of an issue with the popularity thing, Endeavor, yeah, you know what? Endeavor is he would definitely fit in the archetype of the hero that goes without being noticed, right? and I think that is a strong heroic archetype. And so I think Endeavor, now that we're having this, and you know, we probably could have come up with this before, but Endeavor, he fits a heroic archetype that adds a bit more nuance to what Stain would say is a true hero. Because I would say a true hero would do things in spite of the glory. I'd say that a hero would end up being the person who might end up being blamed for like the circumstance of the world, even though like that circumstance is what ultimately saved the world, you know. Like there are like these little stories in RPGs when you're playing video games where you have the heroes being hated for doing something even though that was the correct choice, and the readers or the viewers or the players have the virtue of knowing that reality, but the rest of the world doesn't. So that's usually like built for a tragic hero. Because Endeavor has that vice of wanting to be on top, though I don't think we can apply him or we can throw him into tragedy yet, but it's pretty interesting. That's an like I think the not wanting popularity is an aspect of a how would you say, an archetypical or a typical hero, or like the most heroic rendition of a hero. I think that would be it. Anyway, pretty good stuff with the Endeavor stuff. I'm just trying to figure my thoughts here. It's just because I don't think it's all that interesting after. Well, it's like interesting, but there's not much to talk about beyond just the surface level stuff that we got with the characterizations. Okay, so I just quickly went through the chapter. I'm gonna ignore the characterization stuff because that's all just pretty self-explanatory, and talk about the more interesting things, and we'll start with like Hawk's quirk. So pretty interesting. It seems that his quirk revolves more around the feathers than the wings, and so when I'm looking at the feathers, I'm wondering, is he like controlling them from a distance, or are they like telekinetic feathers? Because we see that he's using them to like help a dog up, and we see that he's using them to help lady with her luggage, and for him to do that, he needs to have some degree of control, right? And we see in the panels that they are like kind of waving through the air, so that's pretty neat. I think this is a combination quirk where we have like the wing mutation and then the ability to control the feathers at a distance. Pretty freaking cool. Now I do wonder how quickly the feathers regrow, or if they come and attach themselves back to his wings. Either way, it would be pretty cool. But if you were to tell me that we were going to have this guy and we were gonna have him have wings, my guess would have been that he was like just an enhanced human type thing. I would never have guessed telekinetic feathers. I think that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what else he can do, and I'm excited to see if it is telekinesis or if it's like some kind of pre-programmed thing, like he tells the feathers to do so and so from the beginning instead of actively controlling them across time. It's just like Hawks is one of those heroes that could realistically do a bunch of things. Like he could be at a bunch of places at different times. Like if he was in the center of a disaster, he, like from the way it looks like he has the potential to be able to help 10 people at once if he's at the center of a disaster. So I'm interested to see more of Hawk's quirks. So that was a pretty interesting point. Another note, and this is important when we were talking about the storytelling, I should have started the video off with this, but we need to go back to what Gentle introduced us to. Because this chapter opens up with the guy wanting power emancipation. Oh man, I can't say that word. Emancipation. Emancipation. There we go. Sorry guys. Yeah, I think it was emancipation. Anyway, they were talking about that, and then Hawks gives us more information later in the chapter where he's talking about this was the reprint of an autobiography by a villain. And you know, automatically that reminds me of this guy right here, the leader of the Special Abilities Liberation Army, Destro. Okay, so like think about it, right? We got the context. It's a reprint of a old figure, and now it's getting popularity. And in the arc before this, we had the detail thrown in there about this man, Destro. What is the author trying to do here, right? Like that's the question. That's the storytelling question. What is he trying to do? Is he giving us these plot details because he wants to bring up a villain that's tied to this later? Or is he bringing up these plot details because he's figured out a little bit of the backstory, so he wants to like shove it in there to make the world feel like a bigger place? Or, you know, are we going to have a resurgence of the Liberation Army with All For One being the person that revives it, or revives the guy that was heading it, Destro? What is going on? Like, ever since we had those two villains introduced in the flashback, they have been an interesting point for me, because I'm wondering, it's a detail that's been introduced to the story, and chances are that they, you know, they would be acted upon in some form or fashion. The question is whether or not they're going to be in the main story or the side story, right? Because if it comes up in Vigilantes, I think that's a totally good move. It makes the world feel connected. But right now, we have 2 instances being brought up and linked into the main story. The first being when Gentle introduces them, and now with the whole emancipation thing. I am very interested to know what's going to happen, and if this works out and we actually get Destro or Destro 2.0 popping up in the future, we can look back to these chapters and be like, all right, the author was pretty good here. He had a plan, he set it up, and he executed. And that's going to be one of those things that you're going to see in the top 5 times that Hero Academia foreshadow thing type video, right? Those kind of things longtime fans love, and trivia mongers also love, right? So we might be seeing the start of that right here, and that's pretty freaking exciting. Truthfully, Destro has a very interesting design, and I want to see it, right? I want to see this acted upon. Going into Hawks on another point, I remember I wanted to say something last week. This week we got the characterization with Hawks, and like he wants to have an easy life, a peaceful world, and that's all good and all that kind of stuff. And I saw in comments people were saying like, oh man, like this guy's raising death flags. And I was wondering last week, like he's known as the guy that goes too fast. So what if the irony here is that he dies too fast too? Like he goes down in a blaze of glory. And because, you know, like you have the metaphor, if he goes too fast and he reached death before everyone else would be the irony, right? So I'm interested, but Hawks is still an enigmatic character, and I want to see it. I want to see more of him. Oh, speaking of another thing though that was nice and connecting to the other parts of Hero Academia, they mentioned Tokoyami here. I love that, man. That was so nice. I wonder if Tokoyami sneezed at this point, but that was so nice. Just because it shows that like the guy might care a little bit about Tokoyami. So I'm so interested in that, and again, I want to see more. And that brings me to the point about the kids, whether or not they're going to get involved. Now, I think Rachel Snyder might have pointed this out, or it might have been someone else along with her, or like if it was neither people, like apologies, but people pointed out that there was the arc's name was the Pro Hero arc, and that maybe this meant we're not going to get the kids. If that's the case, okay, cool. That shifts the degree, or like that shifts the challenge that the author has for this upcoming thing. Because now, like we were talking about last week, the challenge becomes, can these characters carry a arc? Can Endeavor carry an arc? Well, by the end of it, like I'm kind of rooting for Endeavor, so maybe he can. But by the end of it, we also have the Nomu showing up and fighting Endeavor. Like instead of these guys having to go around and tracking it, the high end just went out and dealt with it. So from my perspective right now, that just looks like the author wants to go in a brisk pace. It depends if he's going to spiral out of control later, but right now it looks super brisk. So if I was to make a guess, it seems like we're going in for a short arc, like a relatively short one. And so if it's like under 6 chapters, I would say like, yeah, I think Endeavor under 6 chapters. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think Endeavor can probably carry. I think he can carry Hero Academia for 6 weeks without Izuku. But it'll be interesting if this is over in 2 chapters. That'll also be cool. But just with the way that it's going, we got introduced to the Nomu last chapter, and this chapter it's just flying out of the sky and into it. And with that, like in having Hawks there, you have to like really start wondering: did Hawks just like call this thing over? If we were thinking about the villainous thing, otherwise maybe this high end has some kind of detector function, and it actually, yeah, man, like this is sketchy. The thing came out right towards them, unless it has some kind of power detection thing. I don't. That's sketchy. That's freaking sketchy. One other thing that I wanted to talk about though, it's about the high end. We see its face, and we see like it's got the muscle out, and we see that it has like eyes like Kurogiri's. And what I'm wondering now is just, you know, is this thing a combination of a lot of quirks that we've seen before? Like, did someone figure out how to duplicate a quirk and then apply it to a monster? Because I'm just trying to like point out that we have Kurogiri type qualities, and we have muscles that are just kind of exposed. That feels a lot like Muscular's quirk, and when you look at even this shot, like that's the muscle fibers are moving. That's ridiculous. That is totally Muscular's quirk. Well, that's, I don't understand what's going on with this high end. Yeah, so I definitely want to figure this out. I want to know how exactly is it that this thing is having qualities of two people that we know still have their quirks? Did All For One figure out how to splice it and then like apply, like, did All For One figure out how to clone a body and then put it inside, yeah, clone a body, take the quirk out of the clone and then apply it to a Nomu? Did he figure that out? That'd be interesting to know. Guys, let me know what you think about that overall. And yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. I don't think there's any big other points that I really want to talk about. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have things that you want to add, please let me know down below. I will try to get onto the comments. Oh, and I guess I should say it. You guys might have noticed that there was no videos on the channel this week. Yeah, life stuff's happening. Really big life events. I'm not sure when we'll be back to normal. Ideally tomorrow, ideally Monday, but things are spiraling out of control on my side, so like maybe it won't be for a while. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.